Classic.
Hello, and welcome back to Dash 28 Live. I'm your host, Mike Atkins, and today we are bringing you the first round matchups from this weekend's Atlantic City Open Kings of War GT in fabulous Atlantic City, New Jersey, run by Mr. Mike Gill, who I thought might join us this evening, but I guess not. Joining me right now, we got Brad Park. Hey, Brad.
Hello, Mike.
Looking fancy.
I try.
Alex Chavez.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, and Chet Dudek.
What's going on?
Excellent. Alan Boehner will be here as soon as he gets home from work, as soon as the gods of work and traffic align to allow him to get home and dial in. So there'll be one more person on the panel once he's available. And away we go. All right, so let's without further ado, let's go ahead and start looking over what we got here in front of us this weekend. So 2004 Atlantic City Open. We're going to be going over the first round matchups here. I'm going to say who's playing on what table. I'm going to briefly go over their army lists, and then I'm going to go around to the panelists to get their thoughts on what each player's competitive chances are in that particular matchup. This is again just to remind everyone, this is just for fun. This is all kind of tongue in cheek. We're all good friends here. Don't take anything anyone says too seriously, because even the best panelists are rarely all that much better than a coin flip when we get to the end and look back and see how close we were. So take everything with a grain of salt and in the good sense of humor that it's presented with. So I believe we're going to have 22 players this weekend. We've got 15 armies represented, which is a great spread for that number of players. Definitely not the all dwarfs all the time that we saw for a hot minute here in the Mid-Atlantic. We do have 3 Order of the Green Lady lists. Not surprising there, and double dwarf, double Night Stalkers, double Northern Alliance, double Twilight Kin, and double Undead. Again, not terribly shocking there. And then looking over the lone representatives for the other armies, we've got an Abyssal Dwarf, a Basilean, a Goblin, a Halfling, an Ogre, an Orc, and Rift-Forged Orc, both kinds, country and western. Trident Realm and Ratkin Slaves. Average drops across all the armies are 14. With a minimum of 13 and a max of 22. So we don't have any like crazy low, like 9 drop armies or anything like that. And then for unit strength coming in 25, again, pretty regular, minimum of 22, max of 34. So again, nothing too nuts there. I think more of the list this time are all in that like 13 to 15 drop and like 23 to 25 unit strength range. We've kind of, everybody's kind of honed in on a sweet spot there, I think. Panelists, any thoughts on the demographics of the event before we move on?
I'll kick us off. The thing I find most surprising about this stat is the min being 13. I know 9 is certainly a possibility in terms of drops, but 11 and 12s aren't uncommon. 13 feels like the average list, at least I fall into. So to have that be the minimum just seems surprising to me.
Yep.
I find myself on the opposite side of it. I can't put a list together without 16 drops in it at minimum. Like, I don't care what army I'm running. I did it once for a little while with nature, but yeah. So I was looking, I'm like, all these guys are 13s, and I felt like who's showing up on the table with all the unit strength? Who's showing up with all the scoring units?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Brad a little bit in the sense of like, I feel like the meta's kind of established here, right? Like everyone knows, like, if you show up with less than 13, you're probably behind in some capacity, right? Whether it's a scenario or you're going to be out chaffed or whatever. Like it's like that's how it's funny because I made a last minute change to go from 12 to 13. So it's like that could have been the 12. I could have been the 1, right? I could have fucked all the math up. But I think I think it speaks to the volume. Like, yeah, people know what works, and like that 13, 15 sweet, probably you said, Mike. Like that's where you want to be here in this tournament. So like to me, I'm more surprised the army spread. Like that's a lot of armies, especially like some ones that you don't normally see, like the orcs and back in slaves. It makes you see one, but like it's just a really good mix. Like I think it really speaks to like I think having an all-comer style like a list. Like it's that you need to really make sure that you don't have such a one-dimensional army. I think that's kind of my takeaway. I think that armies that are going to be more balanced probably going to do better in this tournament.
Yep, we are playing Bart Shroud, so that might factor into people's decisions a bit, maybe. So let's talk about what the first round is actually going to be. So here we've got our map, our terrain map for the first round, and we are going to be playing Dominate as the scenario. And the first thing I'll point out, if it's not obvious to everyone else looking, is that there's a hill right in the middle of the table, and we're playing Dominate. So we are literally playing King of the Hill for the first round. So this should be interesting for armies that don't have anything taller than height 3, right? If you can hide behind the hill.
It's fantastic. That's the way it should be played. I mean, I think it's actually a really good map setup for Dominate. I think.
I agree.
It's wide open enough that you have like kind of flanking opportunities. I mean, a lot of times you see like maps that kind of get chopped up where you can't play wide. And this is a very wide map, like wide map. You have enough room on the right. You kind of put down that side if you want to, or you can kind of turtle up and try to play for it. But I think it's really really strong. I think the hill in the middle is a lot of fun. I mean, it's just like who wants to be the first one to like poke their the toe in the hill. That's always a fun game to play. But there's enough to me. It's wide and open enough you can play wide, and that's probably going to be like the bigger determining factors, like who can kind of play wide in this situation.
The thing that stands out to me about this map is with Dominate, you're certainly going to get pulled towards the center. It's just the only thing in the scenario that matters. But in terms of like larger terrain footprints generally, all 4 between the hills and the forest, all 4 terrain pieces are touching the center line. Both forests, both hills, and really, with the exception of half the hill on the left from the angle we're looking at, all of them are in the middle. None are on the outside 12 of the table. So the center line is really going to be, or can be, a congested area in terms of units seeing what they want to see in terms of height around the sides of forests and around the sides of hills. I mean, Dominate pulls everything to the middle anyway, but then the terrain placement all being, for the most part, on the center line, or as much as any table really can be. I don't know necessarily what armies it's maybe going to favor, but I think anyone with Pathfinder is going to have a really, really good time charging off hills, not have to worry about landing in those forests, at least in terms of what I'm thinking of now.
I think the placement of the buildings is interesting because I think you're going to end up with possibly a bit of a toilet bowl in the middle of that Dominate, because you're going to have to deploy, I mean, frankly, slightly left to the building, whichever side of that map you're on. So, and with the other, terrain, exactly. That's what I'm going for. I think unless you have a Pathfinder heavy army, or you have, a few units that can do that, or flyers or something, there is a very strong likelihood you're going to see a toilet bowl in the middle for that combat.
Yeah, I mean, we do basically have a ring of terrain around the hill in the middle, and also the placement of the obstacles I think is kind of interesting as well. Anybody that's got a good Strider unit, like a giant that can just like park behind one of those obstacles and wait for the moment to just come walking across it like it's not there and smack something. Mm-hmm. I think is also a pretty strong play as well. All right, so that's the preliminary information. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and check out table 1.
Oh, goody, the good stuff.
Right into the good stuff. Here it is. So table 1, Alan Boehner versus Derek Sundstrom. This is a challenge match, I think. Otherwise, I don't know how the random pairing gods could have given us such a gift for round 1, table 1, other than it being a challenge. So yeah, this I would say is kind of a grudge match because Alan won Vanguard by 1 point, sneaking past Derek for best overall at the last regional GT. So but I don't think they actually played each other
They did not.
at the tournament. Yeah, so this should be very interesting. Both these guys are on the Masters team. So yeah, this is a lovely kind of marquee matchup on table one in the first round. So Banner's bringing Twilightkin, and Derek is bringing Halflings that he's been playing with for a while now. They're both at 14 drops. There's 24 unit strength on the Twilightkin side and 28 unit strength on the Halfling side. Looking down Alan's list, he's got a horde of the Corsair Fleet Wardens with both the Blood Hex and the Veterans upgrades. He's got 2 regiments of Void Touch Mutants with some waiver mitigation. He's got 2 troops of Bound Phantoms, 2 hordes of Impalers, 2 Corsair Void Skiff regiments, both with Blood Hex, both with Harpoons, and 1 with Strider Boots. He's got a Planar Apparition, Navigator with the Bane Chant, 2 Summoner Crones, both with weakness, as you do, and a Soul Bane on Nightmare for seeing over hills. Checking out the Halfling side, I think it's pretty standard for what Derek's been playing. He's got a Braves Horde, a Stalwarts Horde with Hammer of Measured Force, and the Heroes of Hodenberg army upgrade. I forget exactly what that does.
It's going to give them elite.
Elite.
It makes them elite and inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
So.
And then a Rifle Horde just to round out his variety of infantry hordes. There, he's got a regiment of Edge Grenadiers with Helmet of Drunken Ram, triple Jugger regiments, which are just so sneaky. Having nimble, you don't expect them. A regiment of Aeronauts with Blade of Slashing, double Harvesters, an Iron Beast with a Pride of the Shires upgrade, a sure-footed mounted Muster Captain, a Sorcerer who's also mounted, and a Gunnery Sergeant on Troll. So let's start with Alex. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, so this is a great match. I mean, like you said, the fact that they both did so well at Vanguard and they never played. This is really like the game 6, right? That you didn't have. I'm sure some bragging rights there between who actually wins it. It's really hard to give a player an edge. It's such a tough matchup. I mean, the spell word is definitely going to work in Derek's favor here, but the fact his army is really low defense works against him. So it's let's think spell word's nice and all, but like at the end of the day, it's like if you don't have cover, if you get if you can take a shot still, like you're still going to be in trouble with a lot of units that you don't want to get shot. So it's funny. It kind of ties the first thing I said was like, balanced lists are going to do really well. Both these lists are really balanced. They have really good mix of combat and shooting and drops. If I have to pick a winner here, I think I'm going to lean towards Derek because he has the unit strength advantage. I think that's something I think is really, really big here. I mean, I think there's a lot of points invested in there's more points invested in individuals in the Twilightkin list and just like units that if they die, he won't be able to score at the end of the game. So I kind of see the hordes being a big factor where they can kind of sit near the middle and really dictate the pace of that. And so I think it's slight edge to Derek just based on mostly unit strength.
All right, Brad.
I mean, Halflings, I think at their core, with everything having spell word generally natively, is just a pretty strong choice in the Twilightkin in terms of impacting their game. Is it going to disable weakness? No. I think there's going to be sometimes when the highest roll was a 4, it's going to make sure it doesn't go off is going to be pretty great. All in all, though, I think Halflings as a faction are pretty good into Twilightkin. There's enough dumb idiots that they don't care about here that can get charged by the Void Touch Mutants or the Impalers first, or the Phantoms. Phantoms won't run one round mostly anything in this list, so you don't have to worry about them really stealing anything from you. Then you exist with your hordes in front of their Impalers and Void Touch Mutants, and between the Harvesters, the Iron Beasts, the Grenadiers, the Aeronauts, all these dumb little small, really good at skirmishing units, then really feast on those flanks. So I'm on Team Derek here as well. I hate to always be a homer. Unfortunately, this feels like 80% dojo, so I'm going to sound like that a lot. But I'm also going to be going with Derek here.
All right, Chet.
I'm going Halflings on this one. I think the spell ward natively is not what Twilightkin want to see. I think that the unit you want to weakness has hammer measured force, so that's not going to affect them at all. It's not that, Allen's a great player. So is Derek. Allen has a lot of, tools. He'll figure something out. It'll be a tight game. But I think in the end, I think what the other guys said was pretty brave, pretty on point. Those harvesters, I think they're going to eat a lot of the board space with those hordes, and those harvesters are just going to sit between them and look for flanks. And that sure-footed muster captain is going to make those forests that are sitting on the edges of this board just mean nothing.
Mhm.
And so you're talking about that giant earlier. They're going to run down, and he's got 3 regiments of them with their nimble and crush 2. They're going to be dominating the flanks. So I got to go halflings.
All right.
On a
So
real
that
quick
is-
aside, before we go to
Okay.
table 2, I appreciate Alan moving away from the drunken ram mutants. Did anyone else remember that he removed his own Strider to give himself an extra Thunderous charge for Vanguard?
Right.
He's learned, I guess, from his mistakes. Huh?
Yep.
Poor
All right.
Alan, not here to defend himself either.
Yeah, sorry
Right.
sorry for cutting you off. Mike.
Yeah, he's just
No,
beat
that's
him.
fine. No, that's fine. Yeah, so that is going to be a clean sweep for
Ooh.
Derek from the panel for table 1. So moving on now to table 2, Dale Motley versus John Helbig. This is an Order of the Green Lady versus Ratkin Slaves match. We're looking at 13 drops on the Green Lady side with 24 unit strength to 15 drops and 26 unit strength on the Ratkin Slaves, which sounds a little low for a Ratkin list, but he's got some toys. So looking over Dale's list, he's got a Regiment of Brotherhood Centaurs. He's got an Order of the Brotherhood Regiment with the Pathfinder banner and the Nimble item. He's got 3 regiments of Order of Redemption. One's got Sharpness and one's got Elite. He's got 2 Forsaken Hordes. One's got the Strider Boots, Triple Pegs, Double Mounted Exemplars. One's got the Baneshant Loot, and Avatar of the Green Lady. Pretty straightforward Order of the Green Lady Alpha Strike list there. Checking out John's Ratkin Slaves. He's got a Slave Warrior Horde with the Last Breath. He's got a couple of regiments of Immortal Guard, both with Mastiffs and both with the Warden's upgrade. One's got the Scrying Gem, which will give him pretty significant drop advantage for deployment in this scenario. Although for Dominate, I don't know how much that's really going to matter. A Horde of Slave Nightmares with Elite, a regiment of Abyssal Half-Breeds with Strider, triple rocket launchers, an Ironcaster with the Periscope, Fireball, and Mind Fog. Golek Skin Flare, Cries' Gore Impaler that does get to overrun like it's a different game. And the lowest of the low formation with Slave Warrior Horde, double Slave Warrior Regiments, and a Taskmaster on Chariot with the Orb of Towering Presence. Let's start with Brad this time. Brad, what do you think?
Ratkin Slaves will surprise you. It's so I think the thing that goes in John's favor here is a couple. Scrying Gem against a 13 drop, which is the min for the event, which is crazy. Scrying Gem against that is really strong when everything in the Order of the Green Lady list serves a very important purpose. There's really not much throwaway. The Pegasus have to make it to combat in order to let the Redemption, Forsaken, and everything else behind them do the work they need to do. So if you drop all your Pegasus, now you've telegraphed where you're going to be putting all of your actual work units, and if you put down your work units, the Pegasus is soon to follow, right? So you gain a lot of information. If John hypothetically can roll that first 4 drops, have to get done by Dale instead of just 1. What the Ratkin Slave list doesn't really show immediately is just the amount of shooting it can put out. Similar to Dwarf list, the 3 rocket launchers will get at least 2 rounds of shooting before charges come in. If John gets to go first, he'll shoot top of 1, then top of 2. And then if going second, John can keep everything far enough back that the charges aren't advantageous to shoot bottom 1 and bottom 2 pretty easily. After that, the lines start getting intermixed, and the line of sight where you need it isn't as easy. But then you still have the Mastiffs coming in. You have all of the damage you're going to take from the lowest of the low doing their last breath or whatever it's called damage as you kill them. And this Order of the Green List has no way to do it from ranged. So going to get shot on the way in. Once it gets there, as he's killing the stuff he needs to kill, or else all the unit strength still stays on the table, you're taking damage from it. And then all John has to do is clean up. I like Ratkin Slaves here. I think the Order of the Green Lady list, as dumb as it sounds, is too elite against Ratkin Slaves.
All right. Brad is going with John. Chet, what do you think?
Oh man, he makes such good points though. Like I was already gonna go that way, but then he went first. I've played Adam Ortle a million times with his Kraken slaves, and it took me a solid 2 years to figure out what to do against them. And they will surprise you. And I think Brad laid it out really, really well. People crap on this list a lot, but it can put out the damage. And the thing is, this Green Lady list has no way to kill these things from afar. They have to get in there and they got to kill them. And I mean, barring plugging things up with a Pegasus and hoping the Pegasus just holds it there and doesn't die. I mean, they're lowest of the low, but they still got attacks. Plus, he's got another horde with last breath. He's got 4 exploding units, and he's got rocket launchers that shoot 4 attacks. They're all Pierce 1. The Brotherhood Centaurs don't want to see that. The Pegasus don't want to see that. And you don't want your expensive units getting shot either. So even after those lines break, you're going to take some hits, and then the rockets are going to show up and knock something off the board, and it's not going to be something you want off the board. So whereas this Rack and Slave list, they don't really care if they lose some stuff. They're okay with it. So can he hold enough unit strength by the end of the game? That's going to be hard because that list is designed to die. But yeah, I think I'm gonna throw this one into the Rack and Slaves again.
All right, Alex.
The crazy world we live in here. Rack and Slaves are just piled on. I'll think. Well, I mean, to start with, I want to say like 26 unit strength, definitely a little low for Rack and Slaves. It's very low for John Helbig list. So that's like the more important factor here. Is like, is he gonna know how to deal with that little unit strength? I think there's 2 big factors that you guys overlook, at least when it comes to Green Lady, and one is that this list has Green Lady in general, and this list has a ton of like grindability and sort of sustainability. The 3 redemption regiments, like you don't kill them one go with the combination of regeneration and the Green Lady to heal them. That's super annoying. So while like normally the little chip damage, the explosion damage, the last breath, all that stuff's super annoying, in a list where you have this way to heal back, I think that they really don't suffer as much as like your typical Alpha Strike. So like normally an Alpha Strike list, they kind of hit you and they kind of run out of steam because you're picking up units and damage going away. I think this Green Lady list especially is really designed to kind of regen and heal a bunch. So like I think this list is going to be able to grind through and have a lot of success in doing that. Second thing I was going to mention is that Dale is actually super seasoned and experienced with this list as well. So I don't know how long John's been playing Wreck and Slaves, but I think Dale is one of the more underrated Green Lady players in our region. I think you think of Marcelo, you think of like some of the other players who have done really well with Green Lady. I think Dale definitely knows the matchup, knows what to do, and I give him the edge for those kind of 2 main reasons.
All right.
Go ahead.
I think that like there's a couple things here though that like you're right. The Green Lady is a grind list, and Dale is an excellent player. He's good with that list. Things like those exemplar of the Brotherhood, that nerve is pretty low. I mean, we're talking Kingdoms of Men, General Winged Beast low, like it's a 14, 16 or something. It doesn't take much to get that thing shook. And while you have a fair amount of regen, you've only got 1 healer in this whole list. And I think that you've really got, if he can focus his fire, which he should be able to do with that many different sources of it, those Gore Impaler chariots and stuff are going to catch you out. They have more range than you want to give them credit for, and that speed 8's going to struggle to get in there for that first charge on things they want. But he does have the flyers too, so it's not a throwaway by any means. Dale could pull it out.
I agree with that. It does come down to like, can he put enough focus into one unit? Is Dale going to give him counter charge opportunities? And that's where I look at like, I don't know if there's enough like hammer punch to punch through a redemption. And yeah, you're right. Like 17 nerve is terrifying. Like sometimes
you're gonna have to double tap those hordes, and you don't want to have to double tap them just to.
Yeah, I agree, and that's going to come down, I think, for sure.
And when you double tap these hordes, because I've done it, both your units take that explosion damage, which really stinks.
Right.
So
I agree.
Yeah, I feel you.
Just one small, just timing, right as we were talking about the healing a moment ago. The regen, sure, you're going to be able to heal off the Mastiffs or rocket launches with the regen, but the last breath damage is going to be after all the regen rolls for the turn. So if you get 4 or 5 last breath damage and your dice go a little hot, that's just there as you start your next turn.
Facts.
That's fair. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, assuming you have the counter charges to make it work, and you haven't been chapped up by Pegasus.
Are you ready to change your opinion yet? Or?
So I mean, that's the point I was thinking that like that's what experienced Green Lady players do. Right?
Will we unanimously agree that Rack and Slaves will surprise you though?
I'll agree with that.
There we go.
Because no one knows what they do mostly, but that's
Right.
the biggest surprise, like their actual rules, right?
All right, so that is 2-1 for John on table 2. Let's move on to table 3. We got Mike Dettelmeyer versus Anthony Minerva. This is the Night Stalker versus Dwarf matchup. 14 drops on the Night Stalker side, 25 unit strength versus 13 drops and 23 unit strengths over on the Dwarves. Looking down Mike's Night Stalkers, he's got a Doppelganger regiment, which you don't see all that often, probably because they usually look like somebody else. Double Phantom Troops. Double Butcher Hordes and Butcher Regiments, double Soulflare Regiments, Planar Apparition, 2 Terrors, Shakira, and a Dread Fiend with the Blade of Slashing, because hey, 5 points. Over on the Dwarf side, he's got 2 regiments of Iron Guard, both with Mastiffs, an Iron Watch Regiment with rifles and fire oil, Galaxy Fury. It's probably only supposed to be 2 Steel Behemoths, and I probably typoed that. It's probably 3 counting Galaxy Fury.
Just
Stone Priest. Sure, just take an extra tank. No big deal. A Stone Priest with a Periscope and Celestial Restoration, a Warsmith, Faber Ironheart, and then the Royal Guard formation with the 2 regiments of Bulwarkers with Mastiffs, an Ironclad Horde with Hammer Measured Force and Mastiffs, and a Standard Bearer with Shroud of the Saints. And I believe we are starting with Chet this time. Chet, what do you think of this match?
All right. I think we ran into another kind of a rock, paper, scissors moment, and I think the Night Stalkers have a pretty significant edge here. So those terrors are really difficult to peel off. The regen, the amount of energy you have to put into them with that stealthy, I know there's a fair amount of shooting from the Dwarves, but not enough to pull off that 18-19 Night Stalker nerve with the 4+ regen or whatever it has. They're going to love going into these infantry, even though the infantry are going to be high defense, they're going to love it. There's really not a lot in this Night Stalker list that's worried about the phalanx. And to be, I think Mike is also an exceptional player, and I think he's going to make incredible use. The Dwarves are going to need to have multi-charges. I don't think he's going to let them be set up. With these things, the Soul Flayers are going to find flanks because of the way that Mike plays, and Eshinestra is probably just going to lock down whatever it is that's a problem. And I just think the Dwarves are going to be struggling with the shooting here, and I think that the Doppelgangers are going to turn into some tanks. So I got to go with the Night Stalkers on this one. Plus, I like anything with more drops.
All right. Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I think first, I thought Chad said the exact opposite of what I was about to say. So, like you said, it's a good matchup for Dwarves. I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. Like, I've been the Dwarf player in this matchup many times. This is not the list you want to see. Your shooting's barely going to do anything. Yeah. You're still slower than everything, and everything got crushing, and so this is a really, really bad matchup. On top of that, Mike doesn't really make mistakes, and so you kind of have that going against you too. So this is kind of a nightmare scenario. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I'm not gonna always pick my clubmate like Brad, but I will pick Mike in this case, and I think this is an easy one, unfortunately.
All right, Brad.
I'm not going to repeat everything said. I'm just going to add the only thing I can think of as well is thinking back to the terrain setup. On the edges of where the circle will be that you're fighting over were 2 forests, and I think those are ideal places for that Night Stalker list to get up to the center line, no matter what side they're on, exist with stealth and cover, and then charge out the turn after. I am also picking Mike. I think the list versus list isn't great, and then knowing the terrain in advance does no favors for the Dwarf player.
Yep. That's a clean sweep for Mike, and I can't say I disagree. Ugh. That is not the matchup the Dwarfs want to see, and that's not the person piloting the list that you want to see across the table from me either. All right. So moving on then to table 4. Kelly
Like-
Wheaton versus Brian Hoffman. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just keep thinking, I'm like, well, we have an Alpha Strike list going into an exploding army. We have a Twilight King army going into something that all of them have spell ward, and we have a dwarf shooting line going into a stealthy Night Stalker army. Like this is rough.
To be fair, 2 of those
They're
were
rough.
challenges, but there could be some chicanery.
There could be. There definitely could be. But man, just on paper, list versus list, some of these are rough.
Mm. It's true.
You're like, I brought the number 1 in Stratego. I ran into the spy. What is this? You know?
What is going on? Yep. So
Hashtag
table
rage,
4, we're going to have Kelly Wheaton versus Brian Hoffman. This is our Abyssal Dwarf versus our Lay-In list. They're both 13 drops and 25 unit strength. So we can't rely on more drops or more unit strength to figure out who's going to win this one this time. Going down Kelly's Abyssal Dwarf list, he's got a regiment of Black Souls with Mastiffs, double Immortal Guard regiments, I believe. I neglected to put it on there. Sorry about that. Double Mastiffs, and also both with Wardens. Troop of Gargoyles, a Slave or Gore Rider regiment, and Abyssal Half-Breed regiment with the Strider Boots. Double Abyssal Grotesque Hordes. One's got Healing Brew, an Iron Caster with Conjure Staff, Bane Chant, Mind Fog, and Celestial Restoration. A Hexcaster with the Periscope, Hex and Weakness. An Infernox with the Ironmonger Warlord upgrade. An Abyssal Half-Breed Champ. And an Overmaster on Ancient Wing Half-Breed with the Blade of Slashing, because 5 points. Over on the Basilean side, it's a much more pleasant list to have retyped. It's much shorter and more compact. It's 2 regiments of Elohi and 4 hordes of Elohi. All the hordes have Celestial Fury. One's got Brutal, one's got the Strider Boots. He's got 2 troops of Gur Panthers, triple Phoenixes, a War Wizard with Mind Fog and Barkskin, and Samacris, the Mother of Phoenixes. I believe we are back around to Alex. What do you think of this matchup?
This is interesting. I mean, this is kind of the classic speed versus like dwarves that. This one's like kind of interesting when I look at the map. I'm thinking like, you know, how wide can you play on this map and how fast can you take advantage of it? I mean, I think the dwarves have enough hitting power to really chew through a lot of these units in one turn. I mean, it's the new grotesques are just nasty with kind of Strider and Fury. Like they're just a big problem to deal with. And the Logi generally just don't hit that hard, right? They're kind of fast, but they don't, you know, really break through. So, yeah, I think really comes down to like, how can the Logi play wide enough to kind of take advantage of the dwarves? And I don't think they can. I kind of give the edge here to the dwarves just being able to kind of take the middle, and as long as they don't get like double charge or triple charge and everything, I think the Logi are going to struggle a bit here. Yeah, I think I give it a slight edge. I mean, it's just a really tough matchup. It's really whether Kelly. I play with Kelly a lot, and I know I play that style against him a lot, and he's pretty good at making decisions about that when he commits to the middle. And I think if he game plan well, I think it's kind of in his hands really to kind of to play defensive and to stop that. If he does, I think he can take it down with holding the middle.
All right, so that's 1 for Kelly. Brad, what do you think?
I feel like if this scenario wasn't dominate, I'd be farther on Ryan's side. I think the Elohi just play the angles so much better. Being forced to play the game in a 12-inch diameter circle, because it's the only area that matters, I think really kind of hurts this Basilean list. I think the one thing that's a bit nice is the Basilean list, I think, with everything being speed 10, this is an obvious statement, but they layer their threats better, right? Like they can, if they're projecting to charge in, everything's going in. Whereas on the Abyssal Dwarf side, if the gargoyles are going up to engage something, there's a real chance that the stuff that's following up behind them won't be threatening where the gargoyles have to charge to hold the thing up. Short of the grotesque, but then the grotesques are getting charged. I don't know. I'm going with Basileans. I like the healing of the list. I like everything being speed 10. You just get to angles, into flanks and everything that you. Not that you don't necessarily see them coming, because the whole list, that's all you're doing. But once you get one, it really dominoes. I'm going Basileans, but this game feels like the most coin flip that we've had so far, that it really could go either way.
All right, and Chet for the tiebreaker. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely one of the closer. This is the first not like this is my more mortal enemy type list setup. I struggle figuring out how Abyssal Dwarves work. As a player trying to run that army, I recently made one out of like Dollar Tree crap. But then I struggle with it. I've won like one game, and then I don't remember losing to that army, so I don't really respect the Abyssal Dwarves a whole lot. I've tried the grotesques. They hit on 4s. They live by the 4s. They die by the 4s. Even with Strider, it's kind of they need it just to be able to be a threat. With 18 attacks, they're only going to hit 9 times. And I think the Basileans are just going to get to choose all the fights. They get to choose every single fight, and every unit's inspiring, so they don't have to worry about, am I drawn out too far? And while the map does center around the middle, I don't have to worry about getting there until turn 5 or 6. I gotta go Basileans on this one, even though they're also not my favorite army. But I think the Basileans have the edge here. I think they can make it work.
All right. That is 2 for Ryan and 1 for Kelly on table 4. Let's move on to table 5. We got Gabe Toth versus Marcelo Rocco. This is also a little bit of a Vanguard rematch. I think they played in round 4. Gabe is playing Dwarves and Marcelo is playing Order of the Green Lady. Over on Gabe's side, the Dwarves have 14 drops and 26 unit strength versus Marcelo's 13 drops and 25 unit strength. Looking over Gabe's list, this will feel really familiar. He's got 4 regiments of Iron Guard, all with Mastiffs, a Berserker Troop, Gallic Fury, a Steel Behemoth, a Battle Driller, a Stone Priest with a Periscope and Celestial Restoration, Faber Ironheart, and the Royal Guard formation, double Bulwarker regiments with Mastiffs, Horde with the Hammer Measured Force, and the Standard Bearer with the Bane Chant Loot. And over on Marcelo's side, his Order of the Green Lady list is 2 regiments of Men-at-Arms Retainers, 2 regiments of Order of Redemption Knights, 1 with Sharpness, 1 with Elite, triple Forsaken Hordes with Drunken Ram, Strider Boots, and Brew Strength, triple Pegs, a Druid with Conjurer Staff, Heal, and Bane Chant, Avatar of the Green Lady, and an Exemplar Redeemer on a Winged Unicorn with the Brutal item. And I believe we're starting with Brad this time. Brad, what do you think of this matchup?
I think what I was saying before, Basileans wish it wasn't dominate because they could, I think, play the table a bit better against Abyssal Dwarves. I think the exact opposite thing here. I think the Order of the Green Lady player being forced to go into this block of dwarves that is just going to protect all their own flanks, sit in a ball, be able to counter attack back. It's list Gabe's played forever. He's made no changes to it for a while. When they played at Vanguard, Marcelo was down to his last few drops. It just so happened those drops were all carrying loot tokens. If we were looking at unit strength on that same table, Gabe is up three times as much. I'm going Gabe here mostly because of dominate, and I think the terrain also helps a bit with Gabe as well. I know there's Strider on the one Forsaken, but if Gabe can get up far enough to where those forests ever matter, it only gets worse for Marcelo.
All right, that's 1 for Gabe. Chet, what do you think?
I'm going to go Marcelo mostly because I was kind of close on this one, up in the air, and then because Brad went that way, I'm going to go for the other one because I'm tired of agreeing with him. And
hell yeah.
Too smart.
But
Smart,
no,
right?
Marcelo is a fantastic player. This is not the first time he's gone up against hard as nails dwarves. I mean, Jesus, the whole meta has been half dwarves for the last like 6 months. So he's familiar with how to beat them. He's got, I mean, like the Order of the Forsaken, you've got Drunken Ram, so that's like Thunder 1 or Thunder 2, Crush 1. You got Strength on it, so it's Crush 2, Thunder 1, and a Strider 1, so it won't worry about that terrain. That's just his big hammers, not to mention the Elite Redemption Knights and the other ones with Sharpness hitting on 2s. He's going to peel dwarf units off, even with single charges or with a single charge with a little bit of assistance via magic or, a Pegasus block or something like that. I think that Marcelo is going to be able to do this. He has the patience to wait this out. He'll find the angle at some point, and then he'll break open an opening, and he'll make the dwarves pay for it. Then they'll be scrambling. The only thing they'll have to rely on is that battle driller to really make the difference.
All right, and over to Alex for the tiebreaker. What do you think?
Right. So this is definitely a tough one. I mean, I think I played dwarves in a very similar list. I played green lady in a very similar list as well. I mean, dominate is not the scenario you want here as green lady. Like that's kind of, I think, probably the worst scenario. If you had to pick one you didn't want to play, it's definitely this one. So, having said that, the one thing that Gabe's list doesn't have from a lot of the dwarf lists is his shooting is definitely a lot lower. It's kind of shorter range shooting. So, so to kind of what Chet said, like Marcelo can play this game a little patiently and you know, kind of like he can't get punished too hard for it in the sense that like he won't be just picking up a unit a turn from you know sitting back. But yeah, man, dwarves are just too tough. I mean, kind of like with Bissell dwarves, they're a little bit softer. They're kind of more prone to getting like they hit a little harder, but this dwarf is just too tough, I think, for the green lady. And the green lady also isn't as fast as that fast lane list. I think like I'm gonna go Gabe here just because I think the scenario favors him a lot. I think he just really can't. You know, I'm saying it's the game to lose, but like he can really set up the way that the green lady is just gonna struggle. I think so. I kind of expect him to come front.
Cool. All right, so that is going to be 2 for Gabe, 1 for Marcelo. I think I agree that dominate is not the army. This is not the scenario you want to play dwarves. You want to play against dwarves with an Alpha Strike army. So
it's definitely like an interesting scenario to play first too. Like I don't think I've ever played dominate first in a tournament ever. I mean, usually it's kind of like your Sunday morning I'm hungover. I just want to play something easy, or like game 3. I don't want to think anymore. Let's just play dominate. You know.
Yep.
But I respect it. It's easy. Everyone knows it.
Yep. It's also a good.
I was surprised to see that too. I also was surprised to see so many of these alpha lists not including any kind of slower units. There used to always be the one slow unit to carry all the tokens, and then I found myself making lists with 3 slow units to carry 3 tokens because you know there's that threat out there, and to put pressure on that center. And these are like going pure alpha. They're like everything speed 10, it'll get there and it'll do its thing, and then afterwards worry about tokens. So I think dominate's not the worst scenario you can run into. You don't want to see push.
Yeah, but, push. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, Marcelo's got the 2-minute arm regiment, so at least like that's kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, with the new push, the loot rules, you kind of have. Yeah, I mean, well, it's like you have that option now. Like, let's say you had that one unit, like you know, you like. I've seen people call their unit like I carry tokens, right? Like that's their job, right? It's like you have 2 answers to like the new rules. Like either like take more, like you said, or you take none, right? And you say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna pick them up on turn 7 and go backwards to like pick up tokens, right? Like that's your game plan. So like,
no, that's valid.
I think a lot of people just like opt for that, right?
No, you're 100%. I thought he had them in his list, and I didn't see them, and then you're right, they're on the top of the list. I just kind of glanced over them.
Yeah, I mean it's still only 2, but it's something.
It's good unit strength at the end to walk in that circle.
Yeah. If they are still alive, we will find out on Saturday.
There's so many more things to kill. They'll be fine.
Right. Those will be the only 2 units got left. Everything else is the threat that's got to be dealt with, or else. All right. So table 6, Kevin Strong versus Matt Gorham. And if that name looks unfamiliar to some of you, that's because he's not from the Mid-Atlantic. Matt is actually from the UK. So we once again have a Mid-Atlantic tournament where we have a visitor from the UK. Matt is a great guy. He's been to Vanguard a couple of times back pre-pandemic. And I'm just super excited to see him again. So looking forward to hanging out with Matt at some point over the weekend. So this is going to be a Rift Forged Orc versus Northern Alliance matchup. With 13 drops for Kevin's Rift Forged Orcs at 28 unit strength and 15 drops for Matt's Northern Alliance at 25 unit strength. Looking down the Rift Forged Orc list, we got triple Unforged Orc regiments, Troop of Reborn Legionaries, double Tundra Wolves regiments with Brew of Strength and Vicious, double Hellstriker hordes with Elite and Sharpness, a Storm Slayer, a War Drum, a Storm Giant, a Flagger with a Bane Chant loot, and a Stormbringer on Winged Slasher. Check out the Northern Alliance list. We have Regiment of Dwarf Clan Warriors, double Pack Hunter regiments, double Ice Elemental hordes, double Frostclaw Rider regiments with Ice Bombs, a Snow Fox Regiment, Sarakina, a Thane with Talinar Standard and Surge, a Snow Troll Prime, a Lord on Chimera, and the Talinar's Vanguard formation, which is 2 troops of half-elf Berserkers with Helm of the Dragon Ram and Strider Boots, and another Frostclaw Rider Regiment with Ice Bombs. And I believe we are starting with Chet this time. Chet, what do you think of this matchup?
Well, on this one, I think that the Northern Alliance has the edge. I think there is a lot of things in the orc list that don't want to be shot, and I think that Northern Alliance brought a lot of weapons. If they can prioritize their shooting and get rid of some of these things, and not get like trapped into shooting stuff that they shouldn't be, then that'll be pretty advantageous. And I also think that like half-elf Berserkers are really happy. And unless I'm mistaken, I don't think there's any shooting on that Riftforge Orc side. Is there? Doesn't look like there is.
I think the Storm Giant has, or does he have one? He has
Like a
something,
short
doesn't he?
12-inch
His
range.
Cloak of Death.
something?
Never mind.
Okay, yeah. So there's certain things on there. Like half-elf Berserkers do not like seeing shooting on the other side of the table. And granted, they fight in layers, but they don't want to see shooting. So without that, they have a pretty long charge range. And I don't know. There's not a lot on that Riftforge list that would really worry me aside from the Hell Strikers and maybe the Giant Wing Slasher. That's what would be my concern if I were running this Northern Alliance list or not. But if I was just running any list against it, those are the big hammers that I'm looking at. The regular guys with the 12 attacks, hit on 3s, crush 1. We could deal with that. So I'm going Northern Alliance. I think they have the shooting that the Riftforge doesn't want to see, and I don't think the Riftforge has any shooting, which is the Northern Alliance doesn't want to see. So with that in play, I think they have the speed, the mobility, and the shooting advantage.
All right, that's one for Matt. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Chet makes a lot of really good points, and Brad's kind of another line expert, so I'll let him talk a little more about that. But Riftforge Orcs, I agree. Like you're missing a lot of the kind of funny, like unique units they have. Like the Amberox are actually like a really phenomenal little shooting piece. That if I saw a pair of those in this list with some lightning bolts, I'd be like, whoa, yeah, who knows, right? Yeah, like that's completely changes the matchup. But without those, it just kind of has these like weird, kind of expensive, overpriced units like that. Just kind of like, they're good, I guess. But I don't know. It's a tough army to really make work well. And if Kevin's a genius, maybe he can make it work. I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't know how to do it. So I kind of based on give to Matt on that alone, I guess. Matt is a great guy. I know he came to a couple of tournaments in the past. And he's a very sharp player. So I like him. I kind of think he has a pretty big edge here. So I give it to Matt.
All right, Brett.
Look, I'm gonna pick what I'm gonna pick here. If Chet agrees with me, right? I'm just gonna go with what I think is right. I'm also picking Matt, and I'm gonna say it for a couple reasons. Not
Come down that one game, Brad.
It might be. That's all right. I'm still gonna go with what I think is right. I will say, Kevin playing this list, the combination of the Stormbringer on Wing Slasher, the Hellstrikers, the Tundra Wolves, this list plays far more like an OGL list than a Riftforge list, with the benefit of having the Tundra Wolves being Pathfinder and Nimble, all the stuff I like them for, combined with the Hellstrikers that are very similar to just the prowess you're going to find on Forsaken. That being said, on the Northern Alliance side, I really like this list. So the Talinar Standard giving Rally 1 to everything around it. Then the Regiment of Frostclaws in the formation give another Rally 1 to only the half-elf Berserkers nearby them. So those units are Dash 15s with Iron Resolve, which they're only defense 3, but they're behind everything else. They come out with 15 attacks, 30 if you find flanks, obviously. But they're these little borderline throwaway units that between Drunken Ram, Strider on the other unit to where they're not getting hindered, and the formation gives them Crushing Strength 1. The list you want to put them in is a list where you can get them there. So the 2 Frostclaw regiments that are not part of the formation, the Snow Foxes, the Dwarf Clan Warriors, which are generally a bit of a throwaway, and the Snow Troll Prime. There's a lot of stuff to play in front of them, and half of that stuff shoots, which is also not great for Riftforge. I really think this game is going to be a bit of a posturing between the Hellstrikers and the Frostclaws, but the Frostclaws matter less if Matt gets to get a couple charges in and ground some of the units, I think that's awful. If Kevin charges in first and kills some Frost Claws, not ideal for Matt for sure. But then you have all of the Ice Elemental shooting and then surging maybe into something else. The Pack Hunters get to shoot in. You get flanking angles from the half-elf berserkers that were hanging behind all those Frostclaw riders. I really like this Northern Alliance list. I'm here with Matt.
All right. So that is going to be a clean sweep for Matt. And yeah, I mean, I want to like the Reforged Orc list. The Northern Alliance list just looks like such a fun toolbox. I think I agree with you guys on this one. So let's move on then to table 7. Mark Howard versus Justin Lingle. This is a Twilightkin versus Night Stalker matchup. 15 drops over Mark's Twilightkin for 23 unit strength, and 13 drops at 26 unit strength for Justin's Night Stalkers. Looking down Mark's Twilightkin list, he's got double Corsair Fleet Warden regiments, both with Blood Hex and Veterans upgrades. Void Touch Mutants regiment with Fury, double Bound Phantom troops, a Corsair Void Wrangler regiment, a Bound Ravager horde, a horde of Impalers with Real Strength, a Corsair Void Skiff regiment with Strider Boots and Blood Hex, a Planar Apparition, Navigator with the Banechant loot, double Summoner Crones, both with weakness, one with a Periscope and one with a Gnome Glass Shield, Lathiel Bleakheart, and a Soulbane on Nightmare. It's kind of a cool list. And Justin's Night Stalkers are double Phantom Troops, triple Butcher Hordes, one with Sharpness, double Shadowhound regiments, one with Helm of the Drunken Ram, double Soulflare regiments, a Planar Apparition, Shadow Hulk, Terror, and a Horror with the Inspiring Talisman and Alchemist Curse. I think we're back around to Alex. Alex, what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, so I'm excited to see Mark Howard back. I feel like he's taking a couple tournaments off to do things, broadcasting and whatnot. So, having said that, I don't know how proficient he is with Twilight Kin. I don't know if he's as sharp as he needs to be. Because with Twilightkin, I think at first everyone kind of thought it was an OP army. It's gonna, his stats are just better and everything. But actually, I think it's a super finesse army. I think, which is kind of fitting for like an elf style list. But I think to me, I kind of give the edge to Mark, assuming he knows what he's doing with this army, because it is a scalpel. It's very methodical list. You have to really pick the right targets. You have to fight well. You have to make sure your units that are kind of vulnerable don't get exposed until you have to time kind of your blood hexes and things to be on the right turn. So I think that's important to kind of make sure that he knows that edge and matchup, and if he does, I think it's his advantage. So I kind of give it to him for that, but it is going to be super close. I think Night Stalkers are always kind of a really well-rounded list, right? When you look at one of the Night Stalkers, are kind of always there. They have just kind of a bit of everything, a bit of the grind. They're kind of a medium speed army. They're kind of have that natural built-in shooting protection. So so I really like them for overall, but I think this edge is going to go to Mark.
All right, so that's one for Mark. Brad.
I feel like this is back to, I forgot how many tables ago, where it really could be a coin flip. These lists, I think, really attack the game from a similar angle, both having stealth across the entire board. Twilightkin also bringing in a bit of, what's what I'm looking for? Stealth for magic, whatever the... I can't think what that's called. Doesn't matter. Bringing a bit of that in. So I think they are really trying to do the... Thank you, Spell Ward. There it is. I play this game. So really kind of doing the same thing, right? Trying to take away your opponent's tools, but both of them at their core are melee lists that are really not putting out a tremendous amount of range pressure. This one feels like a coin flip. For me, I'm going to go with Twilightkin, and I'm picking it just on the more dropped side of the list. I think they're both fighting over the center. You're just trying to chaff up better than the other. The more drops, even though it's a lower unit strength, gives you more late game ability to get to flanks or more things to make attacks to then end with higher unit strength. So I'm going to go with Mark, again, being a bit of a homer. I just like Twilightkin, and Night Stalkers aren't doing anything to stop their plan.
All right, Chet, what do you think?
I disagree. I am a Night Stalker fan on this one, and not just because it's a Nerdhammer guy. Mark's a great guy too. He's a lot of fun. Justin's played this list a lot, and to counter your point, Mark, I'm sorry, Brad, to counter your point, where you're saying he's got more drops. Yeah, but 3 of those are non-scoring individuals. So when you're talking scoring drops, the Night Stalker, they have everything on that list scores. You have to deal with everything. And the Twilight Kid, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like they have a little bit of shooting from the Corsairs don't shoot. They don't have the skiffs, do they? Yeah,
No.
You got a little bit Corsairs Void Skiff Regiment, so but they might not have shooting on it. So you're really not getting much. Nobody's getting much out of their stealthy, if anything. And yeah, the Summoner Crones can really make a big difference. But I know Justin plays a mean list, and I don't know what the answer is for that Terror. I don't know what the answer is for that Shadow Hulk, but definitely don't know what the answer is for that Terror. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? He has a Horror that doesn't score. So you're right. You're back down to 12 scoring on each side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think
It's-
Go ahead.
I was saying it's 12 on both sides. I just think Lethal and the Summoner Crones, just Weakness and Windblaster and Thrall all doing damage late game is what I was saying before, even though it's the same amount. Yeah.
They got the Soul Flare with in the Mind Screech, so they're going to be blowing each other all over the board. Oh, they're going to be pushing each other all around the board and being wild. Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. But
Crazy.
it's not a kid; it's a family show. Anyway, I'm going Night Stalkers. I think he's got the edge in a few departments, but it's going to be tight. If it goes the other way, I won't be surprised. But I'm going to go Night Stalkers on this one.
All right. So that is 2 from Mark and 1 for Justin. Yeah, I don't know. This is I think this might be a close one. So we will see what happens. Moving on to table 8. It's going to be Elliot Harris versus Max Kenny. This is an Orc versus Goblin table. All greenskins all the time. Over on the Orc side, this is 22 drops and 34 unit strength. This is our high unit strength watermark list. Versus Goblins, 18 drops and 23 unit strength for Max. Looking down Elliot's Orc list, he's got 4 Young Axe regiments. One's got Helm of the Drunken Ram, one's got an Elite, and one's got Brew of Strength. He's got double Axe regiments, double Great Axe regiments, triple Skulk regiments, all with the Skulk Raider upgrade. He's got a Troll Horde with Nimble, a War Drum, double Flaggers, one's got the Bane Chant Loop, triple Crushers, triple God Speakers. All 3 of them have Drain Life, and one's got Hex, and a Skulk Stalker with the Raid Leader upgrade. Looking over the Goblin list, we have double Rabble regiments. We have 4 hordes of Fleabag Chariots. All right, that's different. 2 of them have short bows. One's got Fire Oil, and one's got Strider. Triple Big Rock Thrower, triple Sharp Stick Thrower, Wing It, triple Goblin Slasher, and 2 Goblin Kings, one with Jareth's Pendant, and the other with the Bane Chant Loots. I believe we are starting with Brad this time. Brad, what do you think of this matchup?
Mike, by chance, do you recall the name of Max Kenny's list?
Was it something about throwing rocks?
No. The name of the list
No?
is Fuck You, Brad. I'm
It's
picking
Fuck-
Elliot, and I'm not expanding.
Okay. All right. That's 1 vote for Elliot. Chet, what do you think?
I for totally different reasons, I have to agree. I think this goes. I can see it go. I don't know. I don't get this Goblin list on this board. I think there's a lot of terrain in the way. Those are big base sizes that you got to maneuver, and I just think that there's so many drops on the Orc side that it's so weird. But he's got Skulks. What's he doing with Skulks? He's got 3 of them. This is such a weird matchup, bro. I don't know what to do with this. I don't want this to be the one that determines whether Brad did better than me in the picks. I'll go Orcs, I guess. Trade Life's gonna be good. I'll go Orcs.
All right, that's 2 votes for Elliot. Alex, what do you think?
I don't think analyzing this is going to make sense. So, like, I agree. I mean, I will say Goblin lists like this. I've seen it work before. So, like, there's something there. I think for what it's worth. So I guess I'm going Max. All right.
You go with Max. Okay.
Where's the unit strength on that Goblin list?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I've,
I mean-
I've
Where's the score?
It's all in
I've,
the flea bags.
I've seen goblin lists like
Yeah,
this
you
work as
killed it.
well, but I like Max Kenny just fine. But he's not Shannon Shoemaker, right?
Sure, yeah, exactly. I was thinking, yeah.
good for you.
Yeah. So yeah, there are two unconventional like chaos monkey lists in this tournament, and they are playing each other in round one. So there you go. So that's going to be two.
They
votes
should have
for
to roll for animosity for each unit every folding.
right. Oh, man.
Warhammer.
So it's going to be 2 for Ellie and 1 for Max. And now we come to the most important table of the first round. This is going to be me versus Brad. This is going to be a Northern Alliance versus Undead matchup. This is also going to be, I guess, a bit of a rematch from round 4 at Atlantic City Open last year. I don't think we played since then, have we?
We have not.
Oh, shit. So, over on Brad's side, he's got 13 drops and 25 unit strength to my 14 drops and 24 unit strength. Brad's Northern Alliance list is double Pack Hunter regiments, a horde of human tribesmen with Tundra fighters and Fury, double Ice Elemental hordes, a Tundra Wolves regiment with Brute Strength, a horde of Frostclaw riders with Ice Bombs and Strider Boots, Snow Fox regiment, Sarakina, a Scald Banechant Loot, double Thanon Frostfangs, and Rim the legendary Ice Giant. My undead are 2 regiments of zombies, a Revenant horde with undead giant rats, double Wraith troop, double zombie troll hordes, 1 with sharpness, double white hordes, 1 with meat of madness and 1 with strider boots, double Revcav troops, a necromancer with inspiring vicious aura for zombies, surge and drain life, a flying pharaoh, and Morgoth, the mandatory. I think we're starting with Chet this time. Chet, what do you think of this matchup? See if you can offend both of us. Go.
I think I wanted to go third so I could hear some good arguments. This is going to be a good match. They're very different without it being a rock paper scissors. It's in immovable force and unstoppable object kind of scenario. I do think that because I remember playing way back in the day, Mike. We played the first time I ever played you. You played this list, and I had my tree army, and this was at Crossroads like 2 years ago. It was very similar, but Morgoth was not in the list, nor was the Pharaoh. So I feel like this list is pretty solid. It's moves up, does what it wants to do, and the Northern Alliance. If you could focus the fire, Brad, I think you could eliminate threats before they get to you, but I know those Wraith troops are going to get in your way, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. I'm going to go with Brad. I'm going for Northern Alliance. I don't feel confident though. I'm at like a 49-51 situation, but I'm going Northern Alliance.
Fair. Alex, what do you think?
This is tough, man. How much am I allowed to say here? Like this, I feel this doesn't feel right. Like I can't. I feel weird talking too much here. I mean, I think this is a interesting.
No pressure, bro.
I look at Brad's list. I mean, I think Brad is one of the most improved players I've seen. When I look at Brad at Mountaineer last year, where he kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna figure out this Northern Alliance thing, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that, and like he kind of did. So I think he's improved a lot of his Northern Alliance lists. It's having said that, Mike, I feel like you play Undead more than anyone probably in this whole region. So I feel like you're very, very experienced, and whether you know what to do this matchup and figure it out, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm going to give. I guess I want to do what I said I was going to do. Vote for my club mates and vote for Mike. I think you have the knowledge and experience to figure it out, but I think it is a very tough match. I think Brad deserves to do it. I think I'll let him kind of get his thoughts on that.
All right. Brad.
Mike, who am I picking?
You're picking me.
Fuck no. You're going to get fucking smoked, kid. I'm going to teach you how to play this game. See you Saturday round 1. You measure in inches. That's how far models move. Once they make contact, you roll attack dice. I'll teach you how to play while we're going. Don't worry, but I'm picking me.
Okay. It is bad luck to pick yourself, Brad.
I don't give a shit.
Look. The only thing that's certain in this match is that we're gonna have a great fucking time. I have no idea which one of us.
Or
is gonna
else.
Win. I think
Or
it's
else.
entirely possible that Brad is going to clean my clock because this is a really fucking solid Northern Alliance list. But I just know, like, I'm super looking forward to this match because I haven't played
I'm
Brad
looking
for a
forward to
year.
it as well, but you got no chance.
I'll be smash him. Like, I hope my fucking Atkins just like fucking doesn't
Not
say
gonna.
or
It's
smoke
not
him.
possible.
Based on confidence alone, I'm upping my percentages.
All right. So that is
Just
2
jump
for
to
Brad
75%.
and 1 vote for me. And if I wasn't here,
Count
Alex
on you,
probably
Mike. Count
would
on
have
you.
picked me.
Alan's picking me. He told me. We talked about it.
You get
All
Mike
right.
pressure. Mike, you need it. You act all the pressure.
I got to do this.
You have to
I got to
win
do
it.
this. I got to win
Yeah.
the tournament again.
Exactly,
I have to repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, ACO is your tournament, kind of. Like,
ACO is my tournament. It's my house.
Exactly.
I still think about when I deployed that one. I forgot the last game.
Oh yeah, the fucking buildings right in the middle of the
I was
board.
like, don't give me nature on the last round here.
Right. Yeah. That was a terrible map for you, man. All right, so table 10, coming down toward the end here, is Alex versus Julian Lesage. This is an Order of the Green Lady versus Undead matchup. 13 drops and 22 unit strength over on the Order of the Green Lady side, and 13 drops and 24 unit strength over on the Undead side. Looking down Alex's list, he's got a Brotherhood Centaur Regiment. He's got double Order of Redemption with Sharpness and Elite. He's got triple Forsaken Hordes with Brutal, Helm of the Drunken Ram, and Strider Boots. He's got a Beast of Nature kitted out the way you're supposed to with wings and 7 attacks. Triple Pegasus, a mounted Exemplar with Blade of Slashing, a mounted Exemplar Adjutant with the main chant loot, and the Avatar of the Green Lady. Pretty close to the standard Order of the Green Lady with a couple little changes in there. And then over on the Undead side, now look, I gotta talk a little bit about. There's 2 Undead lists in this tournament, okay? And at Pilgrimage, I played Julian, and I was also playing Undead. And he was also playing Undead. And it looks like what happened was after Pilgrimage, I dropped some stuff out of my list after playing Julian and replaced it with more of the stuff that Julian had taken. And at the same time, Julian has dropped some of the stuff that he had and replaced it with the same things that I dropped, which is kind of weird. We kind of both like merged towards each other after a mirror match. So Julian's Undead list for this tournament is a Zombie Regiment, a Revenant Horde with Undead Giant Rats and Hand Sanguinary Scripture for Life Leech 3, triple Wraith Troops, double Soul Reaver Infantry Regiments with Waiver Mitigation, triple White Hordes, one's got Mace of Crushing, a Ghoul Ghast with Blade of Slashing, an Undead Army Standard Bearer with the Loot, and Morgoth the Mandatory. And I think just the way the rotation goes, we're going to start with Alex. Alex,
Really?
do you think you're going to win this match?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Brad, what do you think?
So I'll be honest. I don't like the Golgast and Julian's list. I told him that ad nauseum. Going up to this event, he insists it's going to be fine. I keep insisting he's going to put into combat one turn. It's not going to do what he wants. It's going to get overrun off of and lose him a game. But he's French. He knows what's best. So that all being said, the one thing I do like about Julian's list here about this matchup is the OGL list is not removing anything from range. So those Revenant Hordes, the zombies, and all the Wraiths are all going to get there. And then behind them are about 5 different Buzzsaws. I like Julian here. I think Dominate helps. I think a lack of range attacks from OGL helps the Undead side of it there. And then as soon as it stops being a straight up fight, once those lines agree, start fighting Wraiths, start fighting zombies, whatever, then Surge Angles start coming in, especially with Morgoth potentially getting 2 Surges. Then fights that maybe should go 2 rounds now end in 1 when you get a flank charge with Whites. I'm on Julian's side here. I think it could go either way because OGL, when they win, they can win real hard. So if those charges go Alex's way, the game's over by turn 3. That being said, I think Undead have the tools to get through it.
I don't think Morgoth can cast Surge twice. I think he can cast 2 spells. He can cast at the same target, but he can't
whatever.
cast the same
One surge
spell
is
twice.
enough.
One surge at Surge 10 is probably enough, though. Yeah, it's true. All right, so you're going for Julian. Okay. Chet, what do you think?
All right, so I have a question. The Exemplar of the Brotherhood in the mount, that's just a horse, or are we talking about, is that like on like a mounted Pegasus? That's just
No, it's a horse.
a regular horse, right?
I think they're just horses,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, just like
Okay.
80 point on a horse.
Just individual on a mount. Gotcha. I think both lists are happy to see no shooting because they both want everything they have to get to the fight. There's things they're hoping don't get hit, and neither of them have to worry about it. Although I think Morgoth has the drain life, so once those lines meet, you know, those hammers in Alex's list are gonna have to remove lists, and with a tight little, you know, setup like what we have, I think that some of these lines might clash, and I don't know if you're going to get the double charges you're going to need, or the flanks if that toilet bowl affects it the way it should, or could rather. I hate to do this. I'm gonna go Julian. I'm gonna go Undead on this one.
All right. So that is 2 for Julian and 1 for Alex.
I changed my vote.
Do you want to change your vote? Sure.
Yeah, vote for Julian.
All right, that's fine.
Clean sweep.
Clean sweep for Julian then.
It's me.
Yeah, like
You're not out of it, bro. You could definitely do it.
You're gonna feel real dumb when you win this game now.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of can you
It's like a lose-lose. I like it.
not be a ball of dead things that can be surged.
yeah, this isn't this map in this
It's
scenario
all the
is
Pegasus
not.
play here.
Yeah, this map in this scenario is
All
not when you want to play this list. I think.
I played Julian in Nerdhammer and he was basically beating me until Brad came by our table, said like 2 words, and then everything Julian rolled that's like awful. So I'm counting on Brad like coming by my table and doing his thing.
Okay, so after Brad beats me in like 30 minutes, I'll tell him that he has to go visit the table.
Correct.
All right, and that is going to bring us to our last table for the evening. It's table 11. This is Joe Ferry versus Keith Baker. This is a Trident Realm versus Ogres matchup. It is 13 drops and 22 unit strength on the Trident Realm side versus 14 drops and 25 unit strength on the Ogres side. Looking down Joe's Trident Realm list, we've got Thule Regiment with Poisoned Frog upgrade and Hammer Measured Force. Placative Regiment with Guard of the Trident King upgrade. A Giga Horde with Brew of Strength. Double Oceanborn Naiad Wormrider regiments, both with Poisoned Frogs, one with Sharpness, one with Brew of Strength. I must have mistyped that because I don't think they can both have Brew of Strength. My apologies. A Tidal Swarm with the Noken Shepherd upgrade. Double Knuckers. A Coral Giant, a Naiad Centurion with the Trident of the Drowned Sea and the Boots of Levitation. A Thule Aquamade with Rising Tides, a Sacred Horn, and Barkskin. Ector, as you do. And a Depth Horror Eternal with the Banechant loot. Looking over Keith's Ogres, he's got Triple Warrior Regiments, one with Hand Sanguinary Scripture for Life Leech, and one with Helm of the Drunken Ramp. He's got a Siegebreaker Horde with Headstrong. He's got double Berserker Brave Hordes, one with Sharpness, one with Elite. He's got a regiment of Red Goblin Scouts with Meat of Madness, a Boomer Chariot Regiment with Black Powder Guns and the Sacred Horn, a Red Goblin Bigot with the Banechant loot, triple Ogre Warlocks, all with Lightning Bolts, all with Drain Life. One has the Boomstick.
Is that Boomstick or Blood Boil?
The one with Lightning Bolt 5 is Boomstick, and then BB is Blood
Okay, I
Boil.
got you. Sorry.
Yep, no worries. He's got Nom Nom and the Paymaster. And that is Keith's list, and I believe we are starting with Brad this time. Brad, what do you think of this matchup?
Well, Joe's in the chat and he's saying what I'm going to say right now, right? So Joe is already calling out that he's going to lose this game, and he's going to do it because he's going to get lightning bolts off the table like Mace Windu facing against the Emperor. So, unfortunately, I think it's going to take about 25 years for Joe to get a sequel to have his comeback tour, but I'm picking Keith here.
All right. Chet, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think the Trident Realm wants to see that much lightning bolt, and I think that when that ensnare is big, but most of these units don't have it. So I think the ogres, when they get into a unit, they're just going to be able to really punch on it, and I think that that's going to hurt the Trident Realm quite a bit. And I don't know if the Paymaster is going to add to it, but I think the rest of the list is real solid. I don't get that bigot, the Goblin bigot either, but the rest of the list I think can handle what it needs to handle. So I'm going to go ogres.
All right. And Alex.
Yeah, but I think the biggest, like, I look at it as like a cheap Bane Chant. I mean, I don't know. Bane Chant's always good, right? You can't go wrong. Man, I feel bad for Trident Realms. Like, this is the kind of shit that I just don't want to see. Like, you talk about bad matchups, like, man, brutal. Like, yeah, the soul, like, are just gonna die, and like, I don't know, man. It's a tough one, man. I think, you know, I don't know. I don't know if Joe's heart's in it. You know, sounds like he's a little bit defeatist already. If he feels so more confident, I might have voted for him, but I think he's got uphill to climb, and I don't know if he has the heart to do it. So I'll go for Keith.
All right. So that is 3 votes for Keith, ending us on a clean sweep for the last table. All right. So now, just with our last few minutes here, just a little bit of wrap up. So, final predictions from our panelists. I'm going to ask you guys what your favorite list is, which is just based on whatever criteria you want, just whichever list appealed to you the most. Who you think is likeliest to win Best General or to have the highest battle score. If there's a dark horse candidate you want to pull out as being someone that you think is going to surprise people with their performance in a positive way this weekend. And then which club you think is going to take away the Cornwell Cup. And we're going to go around and ask everybody. And I think we are around to starting at Brad. Brad, what is your favorite list of the ones we've just looked at?
My answer is a cop-out one because it's the same faction as me, but I really like Matt's list. I was saying it when we were doing the actual matchup cast, like the actual picking the winners of each table. But the way that list is structured to really make use of that many small units, rally affecting so many of them, decent range pressure, great counterpunch. I think the list that would give Matt's list a tough time is something similar to Keith's, right? I think it has a very Trident Realm feel, a lot of defense 4 or lower, not tremendously high nerves. So 2 lightning bolts at a unit can get it to like 7s twice to kill it pretty reasonably. That's turn over turn. Short of that kind of match, I really like the way Matt's list is going to play. I feel like there's a lot of lists that are really melee dominant in this one, between OGL to Kevin Strong's, Riftforged Orcs. It's pretty speed heavy. Just all these different melee lists. I think that Northern Alliance list plays into it really well. So I'm going to go with Matt as my favorite list.
All right, go Matt's toolbox. Chet, what do you think? Favorite list?
My favorite list is going to be the Rack and Slaves. I think, especially against this field, it's gonna surprise people. But I think the fact that it just doesn't feel, other than some Northern Alliance lists, we haven't seen crazy shooting, and I think that's the one thing they don't want to see. And you've got a lot of Alpha Strike, and Alpha Strike does not want to blow up after hitting you. And so when you've got 4 units that you don't care about that are going to blow up after you get hit, man, it makes it hard to remove some of that, and that's a lot of unit strength. You got to get rid of it. So I just think it's got a great surprise factor. It'd be even better if Adam wasn't running it for the last 3 years, so it'd be more original. But I mean, great list. He's just made a couple changes to it. It's not carbon cut from Adam's, but man, it's a good one. I also like that halfling list, but I really like that Rack and Slave list.
All right, Alex, favorite list.
I'm gonna go with probably a surprise, but I'm gonna go with Beaner's Twilight Kin list, just because I have a lot of respect for just a well-honed sharpened katana, which I think that list is just like I can tell it's been kind of tweaked and like played with over and over again. So it's very well rounded. It doesn't have many holes, and I'm just kind of a sucker for that like list that just like can just really just destroy someone that's not ready to handle it. And so that's what I see in that pit list. So I think that's my kind of like favorite list. I just like the balanced nature of it.
All right. All right. Now let's talk about who we think is going to win the tournament. Chet, do you have a prediction for best general?
I think I'm looking at him right now, and
Looking at him, meaning me?
look, I'm looking at the list,
Oh,
not you. No, not you. You're not gonna win. No, I'm kidding. If you do great, good for you. You know what I mean? But I think that it's terrible. I think that I can't focus now. You're all in my head. I think I really like that halfling list. I'm gonna run with the halfling list. I think that amount of Strider is just gonna make all the Alpha Strike list really frustrated. And then when they go ahead and saucer her up and get faster than the stuff they're, I think it's got legs. I think it plays every phase of the game, and it can compete, and it has some stuff that it's going to deny other people their toys. So I think the halfling list is pretty solid.
Fair. Alex.
Okay, well, I was gonna pick Derek, but I can't anymore. So fuck Derek.
Got it.
I'll pick actually Dale. I think Dale is due for a big Mid-Atlantic performance. I think he's done well in a lot of different tournaments over time. I think the cards line up. His list is as good as any, and he's as good a player as any. So I think he's just got to have a good day, and he can win the tournament with ease.
Oh, good grief. What's going on here?
sucks to
Well,
suck.
he's stuck with it now.
Whoops, yeah.
All right, Brad, who do you think is walking away with this one?
I hate to be a homer and keep picking dojo guys, but we're like 2/3 of the field in this event. I think it's Ryan. I've watched him practice at a low high list. It started similar to Dale's, has had trimmed a low high out. Some more regiments went in for less hordes. Then hordes went back in. Then the Phoenix package changed. Then Guru Panthers went in. In the past few months, there's been like 6 to 8 different iterations of that same list to get down to where he's at now. So I'm going with Ryan because of the time and effort practicing that list and refining it to where it is currently.
That's fair. Yeah, I feel like those are all pretty solid picks. Derek, of course, had the highest battle score in Vanguard, and I feel like both Dale and Ryan are due for a GT win sometime in the near future. All right, so let's talk about Dark Horse candidates. Starting with Alex, do you have a Dark Horse pick of someone that you think is going to perform notably better than they have? Somebody's going to come out and surprise people.
Definitely, I think I go for Matt Gorm. I think he's a good player that no one really knows. So I'm excited to kind of see him in form, and he's got like a very nice list, kind of back off earlier. I think it's the easy Dark Horse in my book. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people.
All right, Brad.
We talked about an award or a pick for a surprise player playing a faction that's generally underrepresented, and that just surprises people. I'm going with John Helbig's Ratkin Slaves as the surprise of the event. Not only that, I think it's going to get a lot of games off people, as Chet has highlighted, and people are going to be learning what they do while it's happening. So that's pretty wild as well. Going with John.
All right, Chet.
All right, so if we're going like real Dark Horse, we're thinking like this is a weird list, and I don't know how people are going to react to it. I gotta go with Max Kenny's Goblins, man. That's such a like because he's just gonna sit back, he's gonna blast everybody with war machines, and then when they get close, massive chariot hordes get in there and hope they do good because they're goblins and they did their best, and that's what they do. So I think if he can just sit back, super disciplined, and shoot the bejesus out of things. That's a Dark Horse right there. That's what that is.
If he can figure out that footprint, he's got it figured out. I mean, that's always the fun challenge.
The nice
you
thing about
said,
that
if you
footprint
pilot
is they
that
can
list,
cover. They can cover 2 tokens or 2 of like the 12-inch apart.
Yep.
Like
Fuck, I
Corny
bet they
Board,
cover
they
3.
cover
Like, have you ever
these.
triangulated that? Like, I bet they cover fucking 3 tokens if they needed to. Like,
Nah, it doesn't work for free.
I don't
think.
care how alpha you are. You have to move in charge range of that list. That is too much shooting. He's got like what 6 war machines on that thing with Eye in the Sky.
5 with the wing, I think.
Right, but
And then the slashers. And then the slasher shoot.
Yeah, I mean
So
that's
5
that's
actual and then 2 slashers.
He's got some work. I like it. I like his chances, man.
All right. And lastly, who is taking home the Cornwall Cup? Hopefully this time they will remember to actually take home the Cornwall Cup. I've already put it in the car so I don't forget it. But Nerdhammer accidentally left the toolbox with the painted version of the topper at my house after.
Well, that means they forfeited, right? And it goes back to the previous winners.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Bart what the rules are on that sort of thing.
Bart's been in the chat all night. He'll say yes to that.
All right, Brad, who do you think is winning the cup?
Look, does anyone not pick their own club? I'm picking Dojo. I'm not going to expand on that one either.
I don't get to pick my own club. No one's
yeah,
gonna be.
Chad's the wild card. Let's ask Chad. The only answer that matters here, right?
That's right. So in that case, I'll ask Alex next. Then I'll say Chet for last. Alex, who do you think is going to win the cup?
I think Aristocrats. We actually have like more than 3 players, which is like a amazing challenge for us. So yeah, we got a good chances.
I'm beating Mike so bad round 1. He's committing to drinking for the whole weekend. He's not going to get you any points.
Fine. That's it. There are 4 of us.
Better
No
hope.
merch
Yeah.
required. We actually just have enough people this time. It's amazing. So yeah, I can totally fuck up the first round, and so long as Kelly Wheaton is like on his game, it's fine. All right, Chet, who do you think
Is
gonna
it the
take home
top 3 scorers this time, or is it top 4? I know sometimes.
I think it's 3. I'm pretty sure. Gil, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's top 3, and I think it's battle only. I think.
At this
You're
point,
correct on both fronts.
Okay.
I gotta go with. I'm gonna call him our sister club. I'm gonna call Nerdhammer for this one. So
No.
nobody's happy.
Boo. Boo.
I'd go loaded dice, but I'm the only one. No, no one's gonna be there, so can't pick me.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. I think that brings us to the end. There is a practice tournament, a 3-round practice tournament on Friday, and Mark and I will be streaming them for anybody here who isn't going to be at the event, if you want to get a little taste of what's going on, you can check out this YouTube channel, Dash 28 YouTube channel on Friday, where we will be streaming a table, probably the top table, of the 3-round tournament over the course of the day. Or you can come check it out at any point after that over the weekend if you're bored and you want to see what happened. We'll try to pick some good matches. I don't know who all's played in the practice tournament or how the matchups are going to go, but we'll try to pick something fun. We are, once again getting another practice rep in for streaming live games for the Masters. So any specific feedback anybody has while watching of how we go about it would be appreciated, just so we can keep honing it and improving it, so we're ready to go for the big show later this year. And I think that's it. Unless there's any last minute reminders that Gil wants us to tell people. Everybody, make sure to bring copies of your lists. I think that's it. First round is at 9:30 on Saturday. Derek
Something
sucks.
like that.
That's good. That's a good reminder that Derek sucks. Good to let everybody know that. All right, so
Yeah.
I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I'd like to thank Chet and Alex and Brad for hanging out with me and going through the lists and the matchups. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
You're welcome.
My
Hey,
pleasure.
Always
Good
a
luck,
pleasure.
everybody. I'm jealous. If it wasn't my daughter's first recital, second recital, who cares? But first one, I gotta go.
You gotta
I'm
show
a little jealous I can't be there though.
Chet, they film those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I've heard her practice and one. No, so we'll see.
I'm not giving anybody parenting advice of any sort.
But yeah, cool.
Actually, I think Chet, you're the only dad here, so yeah, maybe don't listen to us.
All right.
He knows that, trust me.
All right,
Well,
thanks so much.
I'll come back next year for my next one. All right, that's what I'm doing.
There
So
you go.
Oh, we're showing off awards now. Oh,
Yeah, well, no, just that one.
least
Just
for
the
this
just the
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
not
I
You
noticed
thought
that
I had a
too.
Halo the whole time. That's not it. But
All right, so thanks so much for watching, everybody. We hope you found this interesting and enjoyable. I'm super excited to go up to Atlantic City and see how you guys play all weekend. Can't wait. So with that, I'm going to say everybody travel safely if you're going to the tournament, and we will see you this weekend at the Atlantic City Open. Good night, everybody.
I guess.